And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Sideline Talk podcast. Another week. It's been a while for me anyway. But yeah, Dale, I know you jumped on last week, so thank you very much for that. Usually I would prepare, I would do some notes, some bits and bobs and watch some football. But I thought, what the heck? I've been busy at work and there is so much to dive into. Really, we're going to be talking the weekend games. Obviously, Liverpool winning at Spurs. Arsenal, London is red. We are still top of the league. We're going to be talking FSG selling Liverpool. Obviously, lots going on there. And World Cup. Look, less than 2 weeks away until England's first game against Iran. We're going to be giving our predictions for the 26-man squad. But yeah, anyone that tunes in, make sure you smash that like button and do hit the subscribe if you are new. Lots of content each way, even in the World Cup as well. But yeah, boys, let's jump straight in. Dale, how are you doing, mate? All good? Things good?
Yeah, all good. Thank you, mate. Big win for the Reds at the weekend. Feels good to come on, and we've actually had a decent performance for a change. Still wasn't perfect.
I know. But it's about time for you lot, isn't it? I've actually been enjoying throwing you under the mud, but not so much this week. You've done a job for us. Obviously, you boys are right down the table. Spurs are creeping up on us a little bit, but that gap has now adjusted thanks to Liverpool. So yeah, Mo Salah, your little dancer. Lee, how are things with you, mate? All good so far?
Obviously, father versus son at the weekend. My dad being a Spurs fan. So, yeah, life is good, mate, in the footballing world.
Senior Kingham, the man, the myth, the legend. But yeah, let's dive into the games. And then we're going to touch on, obviously, we'll sort of go into the FSG situation as we're on Spurs. But what I'll do is I'll bring the results from the weekend to the bottom. Some big wins there, to be honest. Obviously, Bournemouth, Leeds coming from behind. I mean, that's twice now for Bournemouth. Twice in 2 weeks where they've let a lead slip. What do you make of this result, Dale? And obviously, Bournemouth started off really, really well. The turnaround after Scott Parker just looked brilliant, and they were sitting in a really good position in the table. But what's your thoughts on this result, and what have you made of Leeds so far this season?
I think Leeds have actually been unlucky with their results that they've had this season. I think they played really well against Arsenal, didn't get a result. There's been a few other games where they've actually played quite well in and they've not got a result to match it. Obviously, Liverpool being the Robin Hood of the Premier League, we give them 3 points. And then again, I think the problem with Leeds at the minute is they're shooting themselves in the foot a little bit, where they're having to claw their way back in games rather than actually getting themselves ahead and then maintaining it. But I think they're actually been okay, Leeds. I think the results, as I say, haven't really matched their performances. He's gone dark. He's gone quiet. He's frozen. He's not.
Here we go.
The technical difficulties are back. Apologies, everyone.
Sorry, this is a cost of living crisis for you.
Yeah, bless him.
Can't afford internet.
Nah. What do you make of it, Lee? Give us your thoughts. What did you make of it until Den's back?
Well, yeah, obviously tight game. I think that's credit to both teams. Obviously, clearly showing fighting spirit, which is what you're going to need if you're in a relegation scrap that they both are. And Leeds just obviously had the bit of extra quality on the day, I suppose. Just 2 wins on a bounce for them, which is so vital, can be so vital and pivotal when it comes down to the crunch at the end of the season. Picking up those points earlier on in the season just does you wonders. So, but fair play to them. You know, Jesse Marsh has got them scrapping for everything.
Yeah, and Dale, I've got to bring it up. Haaland, when are we going to admit defeat? We've got to do it now. Man City 2, Fulham 1. Obviously, I was gutted because I thought, wow, you know, if City drop points here and then we beat Chelsea, which we went on to do, then we're really in business. But the man cannot be stopped. He was on the bench for the majority of the game, came on in the second half, goal disallowed, and then he thought, you know what, I'm just going to do it right at the end. But I want to get your thoughts on the penalty. To me, very, very soft. What was your thoughts?
It's soft, but I think it's still a penalty. At the end of the day, I think De Bruyne's on the turn. He's clearly kicks the back of his leg. I don't think that it's theatrical from De Bruyne, and he's kind of sold the referee a little bit. But I think at the end of the day, if it's for your team, if it was Arsenal, if it was Liverpool, I think we'd all be shouting for a penalty there. It's one of them. It's one of them that if it gets given, it's fine. If it doesn't get given, you sort of go, "Oh, I can see why it wasn't given."
I felt for Fulham because that'd have been a cracking result as well. Like to get a point at the Etihad, not many teams are going to do it this season. Not many teams have. So I did feel for them to. And what I found very interesting is how no one was speaking of the fact De Bruyne looked like he dived. If that was any other player in the Premier League, the world's gone mad. But you know what? 3 points is 3 points for City. We're still top. But I thought, to me,
it was soft.
I think De Bruyne got away with it. I feel like there wasn't enough contact. In some angles, it didn't actually look like there was any contact at all. But
I think I look at it from. I tried to look at it from a perspective that if that was Liverpool, would I be shouting for a penalty? And the answer is yeah. So I can sort of accept them ones, but I still think it was soft.
Agree with pen to paper. I mean, Arsenal fans.
Right, we'll see you Saturday, my friend.
Arsenal fans are about to realise how fucking exhausting it is to be in a title race with City. Every time you think they're going to drop points, they'll get some sort of controversial decision that will just allow them to rescue it. We saw it look like last year.
What was it that happened last season? Can you remind me what happened last season?
It was
Rodri handball.
Against Everton.
But not just that, they also got a dodgy penalty against Arsenal about a week or so before that, didn't they?
Yeah.
I don't think that was a penalty. The one that Xhaka, it wasn't a penalty, but yeah.
I don't think this was a penalty. I think, imagine if that was Mo Salah who went down like De Bruyne did. Everyone would be saying he's the biggest, or Harry Kane. Everyone would be saying he's the biggest diver in the Premier League. Not a penalty for me. Contact's allowed in football. It's not enough that's not enough for me for him to go down like there's a fucking sniper on the roof.
I do agree with Lee. Not contact doesn't mean foul, but I think in the context of that he was on the turn, he was potentially going to get a shot away on goal. I think that's probably what swayed it. But he did go down. It did go down dramatically. Like I will say that it wasn't a nailed on penalty. If it wasn't given, I would have had no issues with it not being given.
This is what I mean. I think the game has gone soft. Like we all play football. Dale, you play football. Lee, you've played football. I play football twice a week, and we know it's not always a foul just because there's contact there. Professionally, they should see that as well. Some things you just got to let go. What about the Fulham pen, lads? Just before we move on from that game, Chris brought in a comment in here. It's hard because looking at both, you look at one and you think, "Oh, that looks obvious compared to De Bruyne's," but
I think the Fulham penalty is a penalty, but I think the consistency falls down because the next day, I know we're going to touch on the Liverpool Spurs game, but I think Trent Alexander-Arnold does exactly the same thing almost, and it's not a penalty for Spurs. So it's consistency at the minute, and it's hard. It is hard. Like I say, we could all probably we could all watch 10 different penalties given this season, and we'd all probably give 10 different arguments as to why it should or shouldn't be given. It is what it is at the end of the day. If the ref gives it, I suppose it's a penalty. I think that's the way we've got to look at it, whether we agree with it or not.
The way I see it, nothing is a surprise in this game anymore. But yeah, look, Fulham very unlucky. City go on to win again. Haaland again on the score sheet. Can this man be stopped? But I want to move on. I want to touch on Wolves especially now, because obviously they've just brought a new manager in. But never in my life, seeing the lineup and squad that Wolves have got, did I expect to see them in the bottom three? Dale, do you think Diego Costa can turn things around at this point? I know this sounds bizarre, but I mean, 19th in the league they sit, and I could name you at least 5 players I would take from their team right now. But yeah, another sore game for them against Brentford. What's your take on this? And what's your thought on the management appointment as well? Because I know there's a lot of talk of him being just as negative as what Bruno Lage was.
They're a bit of a weird one, Wolves, ain't they? Because, like you say, I think a lot of rival fans or fans of other teams quite like the players that they've got, and we'd probably all sort of say, "Oh, we wouldn't want. I'd have him. Neto, Neves, just a couple there that would probably get into most squads in the top 6, or especially for Liverpool and Arsenal would probably take them too. But that said,
I like Podence as well. He's a bit of a decent player, to be fair.
They've got a lot of decent players. I just think that they're lacking they're lacking a striker for starters. Jimenez has never been the same from when he got injured. I think they're also selling Connor Cody and Willy Bolly in the same window didn't make sense to me at all. They've been sort of stalwarts.
They are conceding a lot of goals compared to last season as well. Like last season, they was one of the best defensively in the league, and then this, they're falling apart.
I think you've got to give kudos to Connor Cody with that. He was their captain, he was their linchpin at the back, and he's now gone to Everton, who are a lot more solid at the back. There's like a clear. It's clear where the issue is there. They obviously take out Cody, he goes to another team, they improve, and Wolves go shit up.
I think it's a bit weird as well because you can't really give the argument to Wolves that they need to balance the books because they're not ridiculously high spenders. They don't really spend huge amounts of money. They're quite good in their transfer policy, the way that they spend their money. They're not huge spenders. So it's just a weird one. I think they're just lacking a bit of direction. They're lacking an
They'll come back up 100%.
We don't know, mate. At the end of the day, because this new guy for all he's had, he's been sacked by Real Madrid. He's been sacked by the Spanish national team. He's not particularly pulled up trees at Seville. I don't really see what they're seeing with him. I don't know what what's their.
Their levels. Surely their level this season cannot be staying up. It just because they are just.
It's got to be now.
It's got to be now, yeah. If you ask any Wolves fan now,
I think it's too early on in the season to. But look at Leicester. 2 weeks ago, we were putting Leicester in that bracket. Now look at them. They are completely away. So
we're almost halfway through the season now, mate. Leicester, we're getting to that point where not many teams come back from this. Most teams, when you get to sort of Christmas, if you're down there, you tend to be down there for the rest of the season.
Yeah, you sort of usually say you know where your season's going after about the first 10 games, and we're about 13 games in, are we?
Well, we're all right then. Come on, we're all right then. Let's have it.
You can't deny that you're in a title race anymore, mate. So yeah,
not after Sunday, no, definitely not. But yeah, we are going to get into that. Few more results there. To be honest, the one standing out for me is Palace's win at West Ham. Right, West Ham are just off the boil this season. They're getting good results, and then they're just getting pathetic ones like this. Zaha had a great game, to be honest, from what I saw in the highlights. Nottingham Forest 2-2 with Brentford. Yeah, look, it's a game I probably look at and I don't want to watch. But yeah, Brighton. I'm a bit worried about tomorrow night after getting that result at Wolves. I'll be completely real with you. I know we're going to rest players because we have to. Our players are probably still a bit exhausted from the Chelsea win. And yeah, De Zerbi's ticking the right boxes with what they're doing at the moment. He's not playing bad football at all. Got to win at Chelsea, obviously. Got to win here. But yeah, I think we're going to have to move on to Sunday afternoon because then there's more to discuss. And it was 2 big wins, not just the one. But London, everybody, is red. And Arsenal are top of the league. And you know what? I'm going to drink away Chelsea's tears because that is our 3rd win on the trot at Stamford Bridge. I'm pretty sure with one out of the last 5, we've won 3, drawn 1, and lost the other. So I'll take the ground. Buzzing with it. Dale, what do you make of this? And obviously Arsenal, there's been a lot of talk. Gary Neville in particular talking a lot on needs to keep consistency with this because you're saying one thing about Tottenham, one thing about Arsenal, and I just don't get it. But what's your thought on this win for Arsenal? And do you generally see them going our way now in this title race?
I thought it was pretty convincing as it could be against another top 6, to be fair, away at a top 6 rival. Before the game, I actually had a feeling that Chelsea might turn up and it would be a lot harder for Arsenal than it actually turned out to be. But in the end, you can't really deny that Arsenal were pretty comfortable in the whole game, really. I don't really remember Ramsdale being troubled. I don't remember sitting there going, oh, what a chance for Chelsea or what a save. He just wasn't really troubled. I thought Ben White looked good at right back as he has done. I thought Saliba just dealt with Aubameyang pretty comfortably, didn't really give him a sniff. I thought
nothing personal.
I thought you won the midfield battle pretty easily. I think that Partey, I'm not a massive fan of Partey, and I'm a little bit, I've been a little bit sort of underwhelmed with him since he's been at Arsenal. But I thought that game against Chelsea was one of the first games that I've seen where I've gone, he looks a real player now, Thomas Partey in that midfield. But yeah, I just thought it was quite comfortable. I think the only slight worry is that for as good as Jesus is, I just don't think he's. I don't think he's going to get the goals that Arsenal need. I really don't. I think that's 9 now without a goal for Jesus, and he's starting now to be. Is he? And I know he links the play really well, and he's busy, and he does a lot of work off the ball, and he does a lot of work for the team. But I think at the end of the day, if you're going to beat City to a title, you need someone who's going to score a shed load of goals, and I'm not sure he's going to be the man for it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough one because I look at it and I think Lacazette brought everything but the goals. So we've just brought someone in that's bringing in everything but the goals at the moment. He started off well and now he's hitting a bit of a blank. So it's a tough one. But Lee, what's your thoughts on the title race? Do you think we can stay in this?
Yeah, you're winning every game pretty much. So why not? You've had good results against. You beat us. You beat Chelsea. You're yet to play your biggest contender, City, so that's going to be the real big test and how that goes. But you've beat Spurs, so you just got to keep winning. Take each game as it comes. That's what they always say. There's nothing to suggest that you can't stay up there really. Like, fair enough that when you first started the season, it was like, they'll fall off eventually. That might still happen when it rolls around to February. February is normally the time of the season when it does happen for Arsenal. Like, remember years come by, it used to be called like the month of Arsenal because you just go out of every competition in a month. But we'll see, I suppose. So someone's got to challenge City. Why can't it be Arsenal? No one else is going to.
Yeah, agreed.
I think
itself, Saliba. Go on, Dale.
Sorry, I was going to say, I think a lot of it rests on Arsenal keeping everybody fit as well. I think if all of a sudden you lose one of your centre-backs, I think if you lose potentially Partey, if Jesus is to come back from the World Cup with a knock, all of a sudden you're playing Nketiah up front with Mohamed El Nani and Rob Holding. That's the level. That's the drop from what you've got. Your first 11 is so strong, but I'm not sure that you would be able to withstand that if you lose 2 or 3 players.
Yeah, the depth is a worry. I think that's why a lot of people are saying about the World Cup as well. If he doesn't make it, it doesn't matter, because we're that worried about depth at the moment where it is just a case of one player getting a bad knock, and we are in a bit of a tricky situation. We're looking at, like you said, the likes of El Neni or Eddie Nketiah to play at a massive level competing with City. But in terms of the game, I thought Saliba was incredible. I'll be very surprised if he hasn't got that call up for France. I don't know when they announced their squad. I know we're going to touch on World Cup in a little bit, but Saliba's got to be the main man you're looking at in Arsenal at the moment and thinking, he's been brilliant.
Last time he played for France, he got subbed off at half time because he had a shocker.
I think he gets in. For me, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, how many French players are in better form than him at the moment, though? In defence. In defence.
That's club form.
France, you can't go off. They're not playing in the country. How can you go off country form, though?
That's what France do. If you haven't noticed, a lot of countries do that, like Germany, France. They have
England
their favourites. Yeah. Last time he's played for him, he's had an absolute shocker and had to be hauled off at half time. He's not in good stead for it.
Well, as well as that, Gabriel Martinelli, who has got the call up, that was confirmed yesterday. He had another great game. To be honest, I'm speechless about him at the moment because I looked at it and I thought, we're flustered with talent on the left wing. And Martinelli, I thought he's good, but he's getting there and he's getting into that level where people are putting him, because I thought people were just putting him in a bracket which he didn't belong in at that point. But now he's starting to prove people right. It was a cracking game for the midfield. Xhaka in particular. I don't know what's going on this season and when it's going to. I hope it never ends, but he's in the confidence of his life at the moment. If I was the Switzerland manager, I'd be looking at our games and just thinking, right. The only problem being is that he's playing in a different role to what he would for Switzerland, but that's another story. 3 points. Aubameyang absolutely kept out. I thought Sterling as well had a shocker. He was just tiny. He just looked tiny up against everything, not winning any balls. We'll take it.
Just on Chelsea quickly, mate. I actually think they're in the worst crisis out of all the top 6. I know there's been a lot of talk about Liverpool and a lot of talk about Spurs, some of the performances, but I actually think Chelsea are the worst out of all of them. They've got, I mean, I can't put my finger on what they would need to do other than spend a load more money, but they've already spent millions.
Yeah.
And the players they brought in are poor, mate.
I spoke about this with someone in the pub actually on Sunday. I was speaking to a Chelsea fan because he was with one of my mates, and I said like, you're in it. I said like, you're right. Like you look at that midfield, and I'm thinking, blimey, Loftus-Cheek is getting in at the moment, so it's like, wow, that's how bad it's getting. And then you look at Kante's on his way up, so you're like, okay, it's another player you've got to replace. Mount he's just too inconsistent. It's another one. And then you've got Havertz, Ziyech, all these people here, and I'm like, you're probably going to need to get rid of all that lot too. Scrap two, keep one, sign another. And then you've got the striker situation. Aubameyang's not going to last forever. So I'm like, wow, you've actually got a lot of work to do. And yeah, you've brought an owner in that wants to spend the money, but the players aren't out there. The players are not all out there. You're not guaranteed to tick every box either. It's happened with a lot of teams, Chelsea in particular, where you can spend 60 mil on a striker. Doesn't mean he's going to bring in the numbers. You know, we saw it with Lukaku. They brought in Lukaku and he didn't do anything.
Do you know what one of the biggest worries for me for Chelsea is that they seem to sign players like who look good in other teams as soon as they go into a Chelsea team.
They sign names as well, don't they? I feel like they just like signing names.
But they don't improve anybody. Cucurella's gone to Brighton and he's gone from Brighton where he looked unbelievable. He's gone backwards. Raheem Sterling's gone from Man City where he was getting 20 plus goals a season. It's gone backwards. Aubameyang, all right, you can argue that he was already backwards by the time he got there. But Conor Gallagher, look at Conor Gallagher, for example, one of the most exciting young talents playing under Patrick Vieira at Palace. He looks the shadow of the player at Chelsea. They ruin players, mate. They literally ruin players.
I think the argument with like Gallagher and Cucurella and stuff like that is they looked good because they were playing in lesser teams, and they're possibly not good enough to play for a big city team.
Yeah, I can understand that, but you would think that a good player in a poor team would look even better with even better players around him.
The only saving grace I would give Chelsea at the moment, they should be happy that they kept Thiago Silva, is because he was the best of a bad bunch on Sunday. I think if he's not in that defence, we tear them apart limb from limb. I think we're winning that 3 or 4-0 if he's not in that. Do you know in my honest opinion, we should have taken away our chances anyway. Like Jesus, I think he scuppered at least 2 chances, but Silva just seemed to he did a job at the back compared to the others anyway. I don't know how much of a confidence boost that is because the rest of them were trash. But
the one thing that would worry me as well, if I was a lot of my family are Chelsea fans, and I have to listen to them moaning a lot. And one of the things they always say is that they're too reliant on Chilwell and Reece James, and if them two don't play, Chelsea have nothing else. That their whole game plan falls out the window without their fullbacks. I mean, Dave Azpilicueta. Dave,
can someone actually explain?
So basically,
when they say Dave, I'm thinking, who the hell?
So they didn't have to say his name, so they just said, "We'll just call him Dave." But I think Chelsea, they've signed a lot. I think they've tried to sign players that are good to go now, like the likes of Koulibaly, Raheem Sterling, thinking that maybe they could get a trophy over the line now. But I think it's completely blown up in their face because the players.
It's always been their way. It's like they've done it under the whole Roman era. They've always done it, haven't they? They've always just signed massive players. You know, Torres, fucking Kesman, Michael Ballack. You know, they always just whoever big at the time, they'll just like Lukaku. They'll just whack money at them to try and get the big names in and try and get instant success. It's the Chelsea way, really. If like managers will get sacked for finishing second. They won't accept. They won't like.
You spend a lot of money and expect big things, but not always going to work, is it?
Potter's on borrowed time already. You know, he's just lost he's just lost a couple on a bounce. He got spanked by Brighton 4-1. Now he's just lost to their rivals at home to their rivals Arsenal. Like it's not been a good start for him. Like, he's on borrowed time already. If you're not being successful at Chelsea, you're out the door.
Especially with the ownership that they've now got on.
They will spend money in January a lot.
Yeah, but that's when he really does need to deliver because if they spend again in January, he's got nothing. He can't sit there and bargain because they'll just be like, you know, we've done what you wanted.
I think the only thing that saves Potter at the minute is that they're not his players. They're not players that he's brought in. So I
He
think
should have brought someone like Trossard or someone maybe with him, just to
the
spice
transfer
things
window,
up a bit.
the transfer window wasn't open when he joined, so I think
That's the only thing. Like it would have been beneficial if he joined in January, because at least then he can bring who he knows, bring someone he's got a relationship with.
No, you can't. When you're the manager of Brighton and Chelsea come knocking, you can't then say to them, "No, wait till."
That's the only thing. He was put in a difficult situation because he's not going to say no. But I think the time he's come in is horrible because he needs time he hasn't got, like Lee said. But we will move on and talk about something that's a bit more of a lighter note for you boys. Finally getting a win. I say that as if you've not won this season, but it feels like that way for Liverpool. Lee, I'll go to you first because I know this must have been a joyful watch with Kingham Senior sat next to you. Give me your thoughts on the game, pal.
It was truly a game of two halves. Classic old football adage. First half, Liverpool were absolutely superb. Fully deserved their 2-goal lead at half time. Eric Dyer, cracking defending. Nice to see the Eric Dyer of old creeping out for that second goal.
Starts for England still, by the way. I know we're going to touch on England, but
he won't start. He won't start.
The crazy thing is, he potentially could at the moment. We're running out of defenders.
John Stones. I probably enjoyed the first half, and I think I lost my arsehole in the second half. I don't know. We were hanging in there big time. It's so good to see Kanate back. I mean, you talked about Salah, a French defender earlier. Kanate is fucking different gravy. That boy is a beast. He actually makes such a difference to our team. I'm excited to see his sort of how his career pans out with us because he's got some potential on him. I thought we were very lucky to hang on in the end, but Salah was brilliant. Salah was brilliant as well. His goal is both his goals are cracking finishes.
I've got to say this for you, by the way. He really is a top 6 player, isn't he? He really is a top 6 player. He loves the game against us. I don't think against us as often. I can't think of when he scored.
He's scored 44 goals against the top 6 since he's played for Liverpool.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
And credit to Núñez as well for actually setting up the first one as well. He was a good threat throughout. I was very happy with how that first half went, and I was just very scared during the second half. I thought we could have been a lot better in the second half, but we hung on, and that's what you need to do sometimes to get results. Especially
it's Tottenham away. You don't want to go there. You're not expecting to go to Tottenham. As much as I hate this lot, don't get me wrong, scum of the earth, Tottenham. But you don't expect to go Tottenham away and win comfortably.
There's a lot of the same old talking points. Like the second half, the midfield were pretty much non-existent. They just could not keep the ball. Sort of ran out of legs. Trent done some fucking fantastic passings. Some of his vision was unbelievable, but again, some of his defending was very sceptical. I think you touched on the penalty shout earlier. That could have been given. It was pretty much same old, but it was just I think Salah's class just made the difference, really.
Yeah, he just took his chances, didn't he? Took the chances when they came to him. But Dale, we'll go to you. I want to get your thoughts, and you might echo some of what Lee said. And then I want to go from that into the discussion of the elephant in the dressing room, the fact that FSG are finally leaving. And I'm looking forward to having that conversation, to be honest, because I know very little. I hear a lot of Liverpool fans moaning about the ownership. And from an outsider point of view, I find it difficult to listen to because from what I can see, you've been backed enough. Maybe not the perfect amount, but you've had the backing. You brought in Núñez. You brought in Diaz, two of the best attackers in the league, potentially Núñez anyway. But yeah, give me your thoughts on the game, and then I want to spin into the FSG talk as well.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with Lee, to be fair. I thought first half, I thought we looked really sharp. We looked kind of back to the Liverpool that we know. We were sort of not pressing with the real intensity we've seen before. We did it more in a strategic way. I thought Núñez, just every time this guy plays, he's so chaotic and so unpredictable. I don't think even he knows what he's going to do half the time. But he's so hard to play against because he's got everything. He can run in behind, he can hold it up, he can flick it on, he can outmuscle you, he can outrun you. I think he's really getting better and better and better with each game that he's playing, and he's understanding what Liverpool want from him. I thought in the beginning of the season, that ball that went into him for the first goal, he may have tried to have a shot, or he would have tried to do something silly, whereas he just kept calm, found a pass, and he actually almost did a carbon copy of their first goal in the second half to Salah, but Salah's shot just weren't quite as clinical. Salah just being Salah, 44 goals against the top 6 now since he's been at Liverpool. He's just clinical in front of goal now. I think you can't afford to give him a chance because 9 times out of 10, as we know, it'll end up in the back of the net.
I feel like a lot of his goals, a lot of his opportunities come in like similar fashion as well. Always 1-on-1 or just having to get round the defender.
But that's the sign of a top player, mate. That even though you know what he's going to do, you still can't stop it. I agree with Lee with Konate. Having Konate in the team to do the initial press so that Van Dijk can sweep up. But Van Dijk's so much better at reading the game and sweeping up behind. When he's the one who has to do the engaging and he leaves it to Matip or Gomez to sweep up, we don't look nowhere near as good defensively. So having Konate being that sort of presence who goes and presses. He was on Harry Kane like a rash, mate. First half, Harry Kane had nothing. He just bullied him out of the game the first half. Trent again. I mean, I really want to defend Trent when it comes to his defending, but honestly, it is schoolboy at times. It really is.
You got Vinicius Junior to look forward to, mate. I can't wait to watch that.
The thing is, he gets himself in good positions, but then he still finds himself on the wrong side. I don't know how he does it. There was one perfect example in the first half where Perisic was running behind him. And any streetwise defender would have just got their body there, stopped, and took the foul. But he somehow ended up being the wrong side of him, and then Perisic got in. And I thought to myself, is that
where he tried to push him?
Yeah, it's like he tried to get into a fight with him when all he had to do was stand, let Perisic run into him, and he had someone
covering him as well. He had someone covering him. So
do you know what I think it is? I think I've actually nailed it with Trent. Is that he thinks too much about what he's going to do when he gets the ball before he's actually got the ball. It's almost like he's thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead of what he's going to do if he can nick the ball at that particular moment. But he's actually then, by the time he goes to do it, that chance and opportunity is gone. I think the penalty for Spurs I think it's a penalty, personally. I think he pushes him in the back. There's an argument to say that he potentially was going to go down anyway, but I don't think you can give the referee a decision to make like that. And I think we got away with that one. But yeah, I agree with Lee as well. Second half, legs in the midfield again. It seems like we get to 60 minutes with this midfield and then we just run out of energy. So that's a big concern. I think we're desperate for a centre midfielder who can get around the pitch. Somebody who can last 90 minutes and do that job now, because I just don't see that Henderson, Fabinho, or Thiago they don't have the legs to be in there altogether.
To be fair, with Sunday's game, like the whole of that first half, all you heard on commentary was Spurs are one of those teams that get better as the game goes on. Spurs are one of those teams that get better as the game goes on. And so you kind of you knew that second half.
Who was commentating? Gary Neville.
Oh yeah,
I do think also
this 1,000,000 times.
I do think also the second half we kind of gave them that impetus because we were 2-0 up. Yeah. We didn't need to go for a third goal really, and I think it was quite good to see us manage a game out. I know that Tottenham got a goal back, but after the goal they scored through Kane, they didn't really create much else after that. It was before that where the Perisic hit the crossbar, then Kane scored.
He didn't have the bloody attack to. The formation he put out was suicide. It was either like, I looked at the formation that they were playing, and I thought this is either very, very clever, and you're going to get away with one, or this is a suicide. It's a shit show, and it's going to be a shambles. I didn't understand. I think it was like a 3-5-1-1 in the end. It just looked a bit mental.
I think as well that you have to blame Lloris a little bit for the second goal, because if you watch Lloris on the second goal, Dyer makes a hash of it. Sure, it's a shocking header backwards, but Lloris actually backtracks. He's on the penalty spot when the header comes, and he backtracks, and then by the time Salah gets the ball, he comes back out. He completely makes a hash of what he should have either come straight away and just tried to clear everything, but he takes like 3 or 4 steps back to his 6-yard box, and then by the time Salah gets the ball, he then comes rushing out to him. It didn't really make sense to me. I thought any decent goalie should have been just coming straight out for that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would put the blame firmly with Dyer, to be honest. It was such a bad header.
Oh, no, it
The
was
reason
shocking.
we've got Lloris's indecision is because the header's so fucking terrible and he's not expecting it.
Boys, as much as I love to sit and talk about Tottenham losing, but I don't like speaking about Spurs, I want to talk about this massive news coming out of Liverpool after the big win at Tottenham. FSG are set to sell Liverpool. John Henry is set to part ways. Lee, I want to get your thoughts on this. I want to get your thoughts on like what this means for Liverpool, the type of investors you can see coming in, what you'd like to see done, what the priority should be. Let me have it.
My thoughts on a takeover?
Yep.
Show me the money, baby.
Where the hell did he get them glasses?
They're just sitting in front of me in my bar. I don't know. I'm excited. I know it's one of those things. Be careful what you wish for, but fuck it. I feel like the owners have realised they've always. I feel like a lot of the time they've done what's best for the club. So I'll give credit where it's due. They've been in the club 10, 11 years, whatever it is. And they've brought success to the club. They've done a lot of things. We've obviously got a new training ground since they've arrived. They've redeveloped Anfield. You know, what more can you ask for owners other than developing funds in the actual first 11 and the squad? So I think they've realised that now maybe they've obviously, like Man City have announced their commercial income this week, and they probably realised we can't compete with that anymore. It's best for Liverpool if we sell the club. We're going to make a hefty profit through it. I mean, they bought it for 300 million or whatever it is, and they're selling it for billions of quid. So they're making an enormous profit on it, and it's going to be someone. I think it's going to be a ridiculously rich owner who's going to buy it. You just got to hope that their intentions are correct. They pass the fit and proper owners test or whatever that is these days, whatever that consists of. And they're not just going to fuck this club up.
One of them from Saudi. I mean, the way Newcastle are going at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's going to be like a Dubai-based or Saudi-based owner. You know, it's going to be or an American. It's going to be one of the big hitters at the end of the day. And I think there's a lot of things already in place from what FSG have done. So all they will really have to do to start with is invest in the squad, which if you look at other clubs that need right for a takeover, like United, they need a lot more development. Like they need their ground sorting out, stuff like that. So it's a very exciting opportunity for people, for rich people, if they want to own a football club. And as a Liverpool fan, I'm excited because obviously, as a fan, you want to see your club buying players, and that is what could be on the horizon. So, what's not to be excited about?
Nice, Dale. Give me your thoughts, mate. I mean, for me, I've always looked at it like I remember the days where the Conky out was a massive, massive movement, and I think we probably wanted our owners out higher and more than ever a Premier League club has ever wanted. Our protests were just above and beyond what other clubs were doing. And now you look at us and we're top of the league, and you know we're finally invested. Edu's redeemed himself in some sort of way or another. And yeah, I've always looked at it as the grass may not be greener, and I said that then. I'll say this now. But are you hopeful and optimistic on this transition? And also, how long do you think this can take to implement? Because obviously, like Lee said, it's now up for billions of pounds. It was bought for 300 mil, so it's not just going to be anyone. You know, like we had rumours of the Spotify owner taking charge of us at some point, and it all just gets a bit out of hand. But what do you think the prioritizations should be? And do you think there'll be a lot of movement outside of the club as well? As in, can you see like a lot of players maybe being looked at and sent on their way? Do you think this will send a message to players that have perhaps bided their time within their Liverpool shirt?
I think there's already plans to move a lot of people on anyway. From a lot of the rumours that have been circulating over the last sort of 6 months, is that Liverpool have been pushing towards a transition for the last sort of six to 12 months. We've been hearing that next summer there's going to be investment. I think it is just a case of FSG. They know that Liverpool are probably not going to be valued as high as they are right now in the future, because I think there's a lot of.
Do you think a rebuild is on its way then? So like sort of what Arsenal.
I don't think it'll be a huge rebuild. I think it'll be a mini rebuild. It'll be 4 or 5 out, maybe 4 or 5 in, just freshen it up. But I don't think.
But even that can escalate. Even that can turn into something where.
Yeah, but I don't think Liverpool will. Listen, FSG have always said they'll do what's best for Liverpool. I can't see them selling to anybody who's going to dismantle the good work that they have done. I think they'll be quite picky with who they sell to. I don't think they'll want to see it fall down in any way with owners like Hicks and Gillette or a pair like that. I think there's going to be every man and his dog who's got £1 billion or more is going to be linked to Liverpool at the minute. The reports today are that Dubai have been trying to buy Liverpool for the past 4 or 5 seasons. I think the Prince of Dubai is worth about 830 billion, and he's been wanting to buy Liverpool for some time.
Stupid money.
I think the thing is, I think
30 billion.
I think the thing is that obviously Liverpool fans and a lot of fans have said that they don't want to be owned by like state money and stuff like that. But with City and Newcastle and PSG, what else can you do other than just accept that that's the way football is now? You've got to accept it.
Well, a lot of clubs are in that position as well. Like Newcastle, you just touched on, and I did earlier. Look at the run they're in at the moment. They're in the top 4 for God's sake. They're exactly where they want to be, and they've barely even, as much as people can say they've brought in Isaac. They brought in Gamirez. They've barely even touched what they could do at this point. They've still got a lot of money they could dip into. A lot of good players they can bring into the club. I'm all for that, Lee. But look, clubs get away with it, and so will they. And there'll be some point where they go and spend. If they went and brought in 3 or 4 right players, adequate players in January, you're going to have people like Liverpool, Man United, Tottenham, arguably maybe even us, because we're still not there yet. Rome still isn't built. We may struggle at some point. There will be a dip in our season where we're sitting 2nd or 3rd, and the gap's closing in. A lot of teams like that are going to look at Newcastle and think, "Oh my God, right, we need to be worried," because it isn't going to take much more. They've already ticked the right boxes so far. A little bit more investment, and they're going to get there. And Liverpool have just got to see that as a good sign, really. If the right owners come in, it will pay off.
I think the thing is as well is the way that I look at it is that if someone's willing to buy Newcastle and someone's willing to buy Man City, the way that with the owners that they've got, my God, what owners are Liverpool going to get? That's the hope that I've got, is that we're arguably a bigger team than both of them two put together in terms of our history and our heritage and everything we stand for. I think there's a lot of, I think that FSG will consult the spirit of Shankly as well, because they are the voice of the fans basically, and I don't think that they're going to let Liverpool be taken over by anybody that doesn't have the best intentions at heart. So I think that given what Liverpool is, and given FSG, given the spirit of Shankly, I think that it will actually go to someone who has a clear plan for what they want to do. I think they'll have to have a clear intent to invest not only Liverpool but like the city, the infrastructure, everything around it. It won't just be Liverpool Football Club; it'll be Liverpool City. I think they've got to have a plan to invest in that, and that's what the package is. It's not just a football club; it's a city. But I'm optimistic, but I think until we actually see, the real hitters come to the table, because at the minute it's just rumours. It's this person, it's that.
It's going to be a while yet, anyway. So,
I actually think that there must be something in it for the timing of it. Normally, you'd wait till the end of the season, or towards the sort of summer. But I think there's obviously. The thing
I find weird is like obviously all these reports are coming out saying, "Oh, they've turned down bids here and there, like over the last couple of years." It's like, well, if you're turning down these bids last year, the year before, why are you deciding to accept them now?
I think there's more. I think there's more happened than what we actually are led to believe, because apparently Klopp.
You think there's more behind closed doors? Yeah.
I think Klopp. They said that Klopp and the players were told of FSG's intentions in the beginning of October.
Imagine if just like the World Cup happened and then like come December you've been bought. That'd be mental. I don't think you start. I don't think you start a bidding war
at this stage of the season unless you're confident there's going to be people who want to bid.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
it's a weird time in terms of Liverpool as well, because they had a bad start to the season and now they've sort of picked up a run. A few ifs, buts, and maybes along the line.
Maybe that's part of the reason they're trying to sell. Liverpool's not going to get any bigger than it is now in terms of.
Yeah.
But also,
they know they're not going to win the league this season, so they're probably just thinking, right, it's not even cutting your losses because, like you say, they're making a massive profit on it, either or. But I think we are. Sorry, go on, mate.
Just quickly, I think if you remember when Newcastle got taken over, it was about the same time of the year because they were looking forward. It was almost
because it was January, wasn't it, where St James's Park was absolutely rocking.
And I think that a lot's been taken from the way Newcastle announced it, the way that Chelsea obviously got sold as well, with the Chelsea's valuation compared to Liverpool, with Newcastle obviously the timing so that they dropped their new ownership or that there was a party involved. I think by the end of the World Cup, we'll pretty much know who's going to buy it. I generally think it'll be that quickly. I think that most of the groundwork's probably been done, but they might just be seeing who else might come to the party.
Well, speaking of which, as much as I don't want to talk about it, because at the moment Arsenal are flying high, and this could be seen as coming as the right time because people can say it will give some of our players a break, but we actually have 10 players in our squad that are looking to go to the World Cup. 9 if what Lee said is true and Saliba does not make the cut. But that I would be baffled by. But yeah, 10 players. I remember like it was 2 years ago when the only player in our squad getting into a World Cup or Euros was Granit Xhaka. So, we are on to good things. Brazil's squad was announced yesterday. So yes, the clock is ticking. Gabriel Martinelli making it. Gabriel Hasted. Roberto Firmino not. I'd say that's probably the biggest shock for me. I did see his post earlier, to be fair, and if I was him, I'm kind of looking at it and I'm thinking, if I'm not getting in now, I'm probably not going to get in. I'm probably not going to make it because he's not the youngest of the bunch, and he's been like one of the most informed Brazilian attackers as well. It's just baffling, very, very baffling. And I'm saying that as an Arsenal fan. I'm happy Martinelli made it. But the fact Firmino didn't was just a bit, I don't know. I don't understand what goes on there, really, for me. And Richarlison, who's at the moment apparently not even fit, making it above him as well. So, but yeah, we're going to talk World Cup. Less than 2 weeks now. It is just 13 days until the first game. And we're going to give our predictions. We're going to go around the room and talk our 26-man squad. Keepers, I think this would be short and sweet. 4 keepers: Pickford, Ramsdale, Pope, and
Henderson.
It's going to have to be Henderson. It can't be Sam Johnston.
That is the 3. The 3 is Pickford, Pope, and
it'd be 3, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be.
3. Yeah, 3. Yeah.
Personally, I think
Pickford, Ramsdale, and Pope. Henderson will miss out, but. He took a 55. Did that get announced when he was taking a 55-man squad? That didn't get announced originally.
Yeah, no. So it was FIFA basically said that all nations had to submit a 55-man, provisional 55-man squad, and then from that you pick 26.
I mean, blimey, you may as well just name everybody.
I think I was in it, mate. Yeah. My local down the road have got a boozer team. They've got some lads in it. But yeah, okay. So, right, we're going Pickford, Pope, and Ramsdale. Right, defence. This is where it could get interesting. But I don't know. Injuries kind of make it a little bit easy. How many defenders are you taking, Dale?
Sorry, mate.
So it's 26. We've already used 3, so we've got 23 left.
I've got 10. So basically, I've gone with basically 2 for each position. So I've gone for my defense would be for the right back slot would be Trent and White. That would be my 2. Then in the centre backs, I've gone with Walker.
Are you telling me you're not taking Reece James, or is this based on him being injured?
It's injuries. Yeah, I don't think personally I wouldn't take him because what's the point? He's still wearing a leg. He's still got a leg brace on. Like it's not happening. I went Walker, Maguire, Stones, Cody, Tomori, and Dyer as 6 centre backs, and Trippier and Shaw as my left back options.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go off of that and I'm just going to see what I would change and then I'm going to ask Lee the same thing. I think
I'm going by as well that I think we're going to play with a back three, so that's why I've got 6 central defenders.
6.
Yeah,
I would probably leave out.
Walker, Maguire, Stones, Cody, Tamori, and Dyer are my 6 centre halves.
I think
Just
I'd leave out.
Why?
It sounds harsh, but I would.
Yeah,
I would
Ben
take
White,
Cole.
right back.
I would take Cole Walker-Peters over Connor Cody based on his versatility playing on left and right.
Lee's face.
I like him,
Like, so look, this is.
and we haven't got any other options. Who else have we got to play left or right back?
This is my right back. So right back or right wing back, whatever way you want to look at it. Trent and White. Left wing.
We haven't got anyone, have we? Really?
Left back.
We've got Trippier and Shaw.
Yeah, Trippier and Shaw for left.
Oh no, actually, you said 9, didn't you? You said you're taking 10. I'm taking 9. So yeah, scrap that entirely. I'd probably take the same as you. I still think I'd want to put an extra fullback in there.
This is just based on the fact that Chilwell and Reece James are injured. So
I mean, Chilwell's not going. That's confirmed.
I think you've got to take one of Walker or James. I think to take 2 that might not be fit is
criminal. Yeah, that's why I think as well. Ben White's proven he can play right back and he can also play centre. He can also play centre back.
Versatility, 100%.
Carl Walker's the same. He can play right back or centre back. Trippier can play right back or left back. So I think that with them two, with Shaw and Trent, who are both fit and ready to go, I think you've got enough there.
To be honest, you're taking 10. I'm trying to think of who I'd leave out of them, and it probably is Connor Cody. Can't be Tamori. It's not going to be.
I think you've got Maguire, Stones, Cody, Tamori, and Dyer at any 3.
I'd like to say Dyer, but Dyer's going to go based on who he's playing for at the moment because I know Southgate's.
I would take 10. I think I would take 10.
I think in 2 for each position. If you're playing a 5 at the back,
I'm thinking. Walker,
I don't want to play a bloody 5 at the back.
But that's what he's going to play.
I'm thinking Walker, Shaw, White, Cody, Stones, Trippier, Trent.
Can we establish this though? Are we given what we would take or what we think Southgate's going to? That's what.
A bit of both, to be honest.
Yeah, a bit of both. Yeah. Personally, I think if we're going with if we're going to need a back 5 at some point in the tournament, I think with them 10 players, you've got versatility to be able to play with a back 4 or a back 5.
Okay.
Personally,
the only thing I would maybe not do is not take one of them, and it would be Cody. But Lee, based on you taking 10, is there anything you'd change? There probably isn't, to be fair, because injuries.
So. I think
injuries make it a bit difficult.
You're right back. You've got Walker, Trent, Trippier. Or Trippier can be used as left back. You've got Ben White as well. We could play centre back or right back or right of the back 3. I'd have Connor Cody in there, Stones, Maguire, Dyer, and Tamori. Tamori's got to go. Ideally, I would like to not take Maguire, but
I'm the same. But he's going to go.
He does turn up a lot of the time for England, so.
Yeah, at a country level, from a World Cup or Euros perspective, he has turned up. He even did in the penalty shootout in the final. He was the only. It's just quite funny that
everyone talks about Trent's defending and how he could cost them, but no one talks about how Maguire might cost England in the tournament.
So do you know what annoys me as well about the whole Trent situation is I know that people say that he could cost us, but he could actually win it. He could actually win a lot of things for us as well. Do you know what I mean?
Especially if you look at the group games when you're playing the likes of Iran and USA.
He's good at moving the ball forward. It's just the defensive attribute that can be questioned.
I think if Chilwell and Reece James are fit, it's a lot tougher.
Yeah. I think James could still go. I don't think he will or should. I agree he shouldn't, but I think Southgate will just take that risk if he needs to, even though I think he shouldn't.
If he wasn't naming it this week, I think he could possibly go. But in fact, he's got to name it this week. Surely he can't include it.
I just think as well, it would be a complete disrespect to Ben White to then take a player who's not even fit over.
For the record, if James goes, I think Ben White still does.
No, I don't even think he will. If Reece James is fit, I think Ben White stays at home. Personally, because he hasn't been tried and tested. He knows Trent, he knows Trippier, he knows Walker.
But Ben White has been. But Ben White's seen as a centre back as well, and he has been. He's not done badly at that position.
He was in the provisional squad last year, wasn't he?
Yeah, but he hasn't touched the ball for England since. I don't think.
No, he hasn't.
Personally,
I mean, not taking Ben White would be an absolute disaster because he is definitely.
Don't get me wrong, I think he's a very weird bloke. He's a bit suspect, but
It's a bit suspect.
his interviews freak me out.
I think we're all.
It's a bit like that one from the young guy from Palace the other day, wasn't it? Michael Elise, where he's just like,
It's weird,
yeah. I
think
mean, you've just played for Premier League football.
Benjamin. Oh.
I think we're all in agreement, though, aren't we? With M10, I think they're the 10 that are pretty much. I think we're in agreement with
midfield. This is where it gets interesting. We've got 13 positions left.
I only went
10. 13. Sorry, we're halfway through.
I went with 6 midfielders. So I went with Reed.
Bloody hell, you've got 7 attackers.
Yeah. So I've got Rice, Bellingham, Hendo, Mount, Maddison, and Foden as my midfield options.
Playing Foden in the 10, yeah?
Playing Foden in the midfield. But I think Foden could...
Can't wait to hear your attackers.
He could flip between both, couldn't he, Foden?
Because I would have put Foden in the attack, yeah. So now I'm thinking, oh...
I've got 7.
Okay,
I class the wingers or attackers as midfielders. I just have defence, midfields and forwards.
Okay, right.
Yeah, you could split it up. Split it up.
Right, so from Dale's, I think the main midfielders are a bit obvious, like your Rice. Your Henderson will go for leadership. And to be honest, we haven't got much experience in that squad at the moment, based on what I'm listening to so far. So it'll be good to have him for experience, for leadership, and Rice and Bellingham are no-brainers. Foden's a no-brainer. And Maddison is probably the only one where it's going to be like a bit new. He has to go. He's been playing for one of the worst teams in the league, and he's got one of the best attacking records this season. I think that speaks for itself.
I feel like there's one difficult decision in the midfield, because for me it's like Saka, Grealish, Maddison, Rice, Foden, Mount, Bellingham, Henderson, and then it's either Ward-Prowse or Calvin Phillips, whoever. If Calvin Phillips proves his fitness,
I wouldn't take either. Yeah, I'm with Dave.
I think you have to.
I haven't got either.
You're taking 3 centre mids.
I've got Rice, Jude, Hendo, Mount. They all can play centre mid, and then Maddison and Foden.
I don't know about Mount at centre midfield. I don't know how I feel about that.
I feel like you're leaving your squad too short. You're not gonna. How are you going to fill your 26? You've got 26 places, mate.
Listen, wait till you get to my strikers, my forward players. And
I'm intrigued to hear this because
personally, I think Foden's better in a midfield 3. I think Maddison obviously can play in a midfield 3. Mount can play in a midfield 3, and then you got Rice, Bellingham, and Hendo.
I'm hearing Lee's argument though as well, because I'm looking at it and I'm thinking if Rice or Bellingham was to get injured, I'm not saying they will, and obviously I hope they don't. That's a very tricky situation. You're playing Mason Mount in a potential 6 role or a 5 role.
No, because Henderson would play that. Henderson's Rice's backup, isn't it?
Do you honestly think Jordan Henderson is a starting 11 player for England?
No, that's what I'm saying. He's not starting. He's backup. So you got.
I don't even think he should be backup.
You got Rice and Hendo. Rice and Hendo will be your 6.
Not harsh. I want to win something.
You got Rice and Henderson who will be your 6, and then if you play with 2 8s, you could play with either one of Bellingham, Mount, Maddison, or Foden in an 8. Personally, that's where
I'm not convinced. It's a bit chalk and cheese because I agree with the options, but I also agree with what Lee's saying. You're one injury away from leaving yourself short in a centre midfield in that CM role. I don't think Mount can live up to that.
We're not going to play that. We're not going to play that. We're going to play with 2. We're not going to play with a midfield.
You're only really going to play with 1 forward, so you pack your midfield out. For me.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't see how someone like Phillips can get in the England World Cup squad. He ain't kicked a ball all season.
I mean, so Lee, I'm guessing you would take one less striker or forward, and you would put Ward-Prowse or Phillips in, yeah?
I've got 5 forwards, so Dale must have 6.
Yeah, Dale. Yeah, Dale's got 7 midfielders and.
I've got
7? Oh no, because you've counted. He's counted Foden as.
I've got 6 midfielders and 7
seven attackers. Yeah.
So I've got Kane, Wilson, Rashford, Sterling, and Tony.
Tony's not going. And where is Saka?
It'll be between Tony, Wilson.
Are you telling me Saka is not going to the World Cup?
Yeah, he was in my midfielders.
Oh God, I was about to
Yeah.
switch off this call.
So my seven, what I call attackers, are Saka, Kane, Sterling, Tammy, Wilson, Grealish, Rashford.
Yeah, I don't think Tony goes. Obviously, based on the rumours going on at the moment, it doesn't sound like he will anyway. There is a
Yeah,
potential 6-month ban investigation, so he's not going to be getting called up for England anytime soon. It's very horrible timing for him. Very horrible. And to be honest, I
Great.
think that was. I'll be real. I think that was his last punt. I think that was his last throw of the dice for England, because he's been having a good run for Brentford, and in 2 years' time he's going to be knocking on that door of 28, 29, and it's going to be a case of better players, more competition, and it's
I think
going to go like that.
it said it all with Tony when he got put in that squad for 2 friendlies and didn't get a kick. That's it.
Yeah, I think the competition already is too high for him at the moment, Ivan Toney, and with what's happened in the last few days, it hasn't gone in his favour. And yeah, this is his last throw of the dice, and I don't think he's going to get a better opportunity than now. There's going to be players like Madueke and stuff that come rising through the England squad, and they're going to get given an opportunity. And Tony would just be looked at as the worst of a good bunch. But yeah, for me, I'm more edging towards Dale's selection, although I don't think Callum Wilson is going to make the cut. I think this is where a Ward-Prowse or a Calvin Phillips perhaps do come in. I don't think Callum Wilson will make it. As much as I agree he does perform for Newcastle when he needs to, I don't think we need that many attackers. I mean, last season in the Euros, we barely even saw the attackers we had on the bench. Kane was used a lot of it, which he will be again this time round. Rashford's had a great season. He's going to be getting some sort of opportunity. I could be wrong, but I don't think we need 7, not strikers as such, but 7 attackers when we play such a high midfield, such a big midfield. I can't see that happening. For me, it would be an extra midfielder in place of Wilson.
If the question is Wilson doesn't go, are we saying it's between Maddison, Phillips, and Ward-Prowse for the last 2 out of 3 spots?
Yep.
I've got them all in. I'm confused. I've got 26 people.
Yeah, but you didn't put Tony in, did you?
No.
Dale did, so that's 1.
No, I put Tony in. I got Tammy.
Yeah, I replaced Tony with Tammy.
Yeah. I got Rashford, Grealish, Wilson, Tammy, Sterling, Kane, and Saka. So if we're saying Wilson's not going to go,
Yeah, I've got all of them.
then we would put in Phillips in the midfield. So your midfield would be Rice, Hendo, Jude.
Yeah, I know Dale's definitely got 23 because I've been swapping in and out when people come in. Wilson would come out for me for probably Ward-Prowse because Phillips hasn't been playing. Who was your midfielders then?
Saka, Grealish, Maddison, Rice, Ward-Prowse, Foden, Mount, Bellingham, Henderson.
He's putting Phillips and Ward-Prowse, whereas I haven't got either.
Aha, there. Yeah, you've got both.
No, I haven't.
I'm sure you've just said you've.
I said it would be between one of them two.
Between one of them. Okay.
I think we're all. I think majority of us are on pretty much.
Yeah, I think the only thing is the potential of, do you take an extra attacker in Wilson and leave yourself short in a CM, or?
I think you're probably right. I think you're probably right. I think Wilson may not make it, and possibly Phillips makes it. I just think that would be a bit silly.
Phillips wouldn't make any sense because he's not playing, and I get it's all on country form, which, okay, fair enough. If it's on country form, Phillips was brilliant last year, so fair enough, but I'm not so sure.
I generally think out of the 26-man squad, I think there's probably only 3 spaces that are pretty much up for grabs. I think I think 23 is pretty much guaranteed.
And even Maddison's is probably now pretty much set in stone. Maddison.
I feel like there's one position. There's like one forward, one midfield, one defence position, which is up for grabs.
It's questionable, yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, it's pretty much set in stone, isn't it?
Personally, I think we'll be. I think personally, you're going to see Reece James's name on that plane. I just got a feeling. I don't agree with it. I don't think he should go, but I just got a feeling.
It'll probably come out like Thursday, won't it? So it'll be interesting to see what he goes with.
He literally did an interview yesterday, and he's wearing a leg brace. Like, how could
This is Southgate, though.
It's like we've made this mistake in past tournaments with like Rooney and stuff. Like, it doesn't work.
Just take the players who are fit. If you're not fit, it's as bad. Reece James is young enough to have another 2 World Cups. Do you know what I mean? It's Trent missed the Euros because he pulled a hamstring. That's what I'm saying.
It doesn't matter because once quarterfinals is here, I'm supporting Brazil anyway. I'm just temporarily supporting England.
Depends on getting a sweepstake.
Yeah. Look, let's quickly. I've got a question for both of you two before we wrap up. Taking your England hat off, who do you think is going to be the surprise package in the World Cup?
Surprise package. Oh, this is quite tough.
Argentina.
Mine's Holland. I think Holland.
Messi.
I don't think Argentina are a surprise package though. I don't think that's fair. Sorry, Lee, I'm calling you out.
I don't think they've been very good in recent tournaments.
But
no, it's the Messi factor, isn't it?
I just think it's Messi's last hurrah. He's in blinding form. Could be.
I'm going.
I'm going to say surprise package. Senegal.
Okay.
I'm thinking of someone that wouldn't be expected to go far. What did you say, sorry, mate?
European teams might struggle in the heat, to be fair.
Senegal are used to it. So I've just got this feeling they're going to be one of those teams that perhaps process I looked at the routes that teams can take. We've got a very tough one come the quarterfinal, and I'm guessing that means it's not as so tough for some of the other teams, Senegal in particular. And I mean, Italy are out, so you haven't got them knocking on the door. But yeah, Argentina's a good pick. And obviously, like, you've got the likes of Belgium. They've still got all the quality in their squad. They don't live up to their potential, but they have got it. But yeah, I'll tell you what, next week, people, I know some people have been tuning in on Twitter. Do make sure you come over to YouTube and get involved in the comments. Next week, we will be giving our predictions as to where England will finish and our winners and the reaction to Southgate's squad. Will it come home? Look, we've had two good opportunities. I'm not so confident this year. I'm not excited. I kind of just wish Premier League was continuing so I can keep going down to the carpet. We got League Cup this week. I'm off to the Emirates tomorrow. And yeah, hopefully Arsenal keep it going. To me, at the moment, domestic cups, it's hard to look into it when we're doing well in Europa and Premier League. But yeah, Premier League is back this weekend, and we're going to be talking about all the last games before the World Cup next week, along with the World Cup predictions. Cheers, people. Take care.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Do not scratch your eyes.